Yeah. Okay, if you guys want Chris to go try different foods and film, drop a like, drop a comment down below. If you want
It'll be like
Chris
man versus food.
Orlando versus Ocala. Chris, how's it going?
It's awesome, my man. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited to dive into this topic. First of all, the map. Like, we have to talk about location-wise where these are both located. Dive into this a little bit more for us.
So you'll have Orlando in the center of the state, and you'll have Ocala in the center of the state as well. Difference is just what's north and what's south. We got Orlando that's south of us, and they're about 90 minutes apart from each other.
Both central, and it looks like they're like almost like equal distance to the oceans, like if you were to drive to the beach.
So they're both considered Central Florida. It's just Ocala is considered North Central Florida. But yeah, as far as east and west go, which is where our big attractions, our oceans are at, they're about equidistant from them.
We talked about hurricanes another time, so they're both pretty much safe. I know Ocala is definitely safe from hurricanes.
Now I would use the word safe loosely, because I mean anything can happen in a hurricane. However, we do experience about the same amount of hurricane wind in both parts of it. So I mean, not that we have hurricanes across the state often. I've had 3 actual serious hurricanes, since I've lived here. I've been here more than 20 years, and all 3 of those hurricanes happened in the same year. But I mean, those things break down so fast once they hit the land and they start to cross the state that by the time they get to you, it's usually, Cat 1 or tropical storm, and Ocala and Orlando experience about the same amount of storm.
Makes sense. Let's move into things to do. So like the differences between both these places.
So with Ocala, you're going to have more of I wouldn't say it's slow paced. I mean, because we do have some pretty major names here, and we do have big businesses and stuff like that. But it's not a major metropolitan city like you're gonna find in Orlando, where it's just super fast paced and crazy expensive and all that. Ocala's just, it's a little bit more easygoing. It is a place where people go to relax. They enjoy more of the nature. Of course, when you have one place that's nature driven, and then you have another place that's more like theme parks, tourist attractions, stuff like that, there's going to be a big difference in the culture of the city.
Yeah, because Orlando is like, really famous for Disney World.
Very touristy, yeah.
In LA, there's a lot of different tourist attractions and things like that. Like maybe Ocala, people aren't necessarily going there to like visit Disneyland.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't have a lot of these. I mean, we have hotels, but it's not like Airbnb Central, whereas like the outskirts of Orlando, like Kissimmee, that's all like Airbnb and condos and short-term rentals and stuff like that, because it keeps you close to Orlando, and it's very, very commercialized. Ocala's not.
Sporting events in what are the stadiums in Orlando?
You do have the Orlando Magic, the basketball team for that region. You do have the Dr. Phillips Center, where there's big events, comedy shows, music performances, stuff like that done. And I forget, there's one that used to be called the TD Waterhouse Center. I forgot what it is now. But there's lots to do in Orlando, and that's part of the beauty of a place like this, is you can be super close to all that stuff, but still have an easy-paced environment.
I was thinking like for sporting, like, so the difference, like we have like the equestrian center in Ocala, or like, it's a different type of sport kind of like in a sense. And then
Yeah, it is. So it's not, we don't really have like sports teams, but I mean, there are different leagues of stuff that gets together. You know, you have pits, which come out, that's all horses. You do have the World Equestrian Center, and they hold events and stuff like that. So it's a big difference in sporting. You know, you're not really dealing with sports teams. You're dealing with stuff that's more geared towards natural things, you know, like animals.
Mm-hmm. Let's move into the cost of living between these two amazing places. Yeah, break it down for us.
So both places are going to be below the national average. Orlando is about 3% cheaper than national average. The number that sticks out the most is Ocala's cost of housing. That is 28% below the national average of living. So not only is Ocala cheaper than Orlando, it's cheaper than most places in the country by more than a quarter.
People looking to move from like Orlando to Ocala, they can, how does that typically look like if they're thinking about making the move or making the switch?
It looks something like a deal I just closed out yesterday. So I had this older couple. They wanted me to sell their house in Orlando. The market is absolutely crazy right now. It's hot. People are throwing money at houses like crazy. So there was this older couple. They have a house that was basically worth about $290,000. And I said, "What would you like to sell it for?" They said for $350,000. I said, "Okay, let's do $350,000." So we went ahead. We listed it for $350,000. Within 14 hours, I got a cash offer for $351,000. Then they used that lump sum to move to Ocala, where the cost is significantly cheaper, and they still had a fat nest egg of money left over after the transaction was complete. So that's you can expect something like that, depending on what price of house you're looking to get into after you sell your first one, or if you're if you're moving from any of these other places.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's fantastic. That sounds like a win-win for your client. Yeah. Super cool. They can spend it on food, which is the next topic. Let's talk about the food cuisine choices between both areas.
Man, oh man, you really can't go wrong with either city. Obviously, Orlando is a bigger city. It's going to have more choices, but Ocala is not far behind it as far as options go. You're not going to have as many different types of Japanese steakhouses, but you're going to have Japanese steakhouses. You know, there's Chinese food. There's Thai food, there's Indian food, French cuisines, and you're going to have that in both cities. And then you're going to have, there's a place called Texas de Brazil that is in Orlando. It's basically all you can eat Brazilian steakhouse. We have Ipanema here in Ocala, Brazilian steakhouse. So we have all the same concepts that Orlando would have. All of them, they're going to have great food options. It's just there's, one's a bigger city, one's a smaller city.
Yeah. Okay, if you guys want Chris to go try different foods and film, drop a like, drop a comment down below. If you want
It'll be like
Chris
Man versus Food.
the Ocala Realtor going to try out different restaurants and food.
There we go. They're going to have me eating like dynamite wings and
the hottest wings you can find.
10-pound burritos.
Which might restrict your air travel if you eat a 10-pound burrito before you get on a plane. Let's talk about like traveling. So summer is here at the time of this video. If people are wanting to need access to airports and stuff, how does that work if you live in Orlando versus Ocala?
So if like me, an Ocala resident, if I'm going to travel, besides having the trip planned out, you want to plan out what you're going to do with your car. And so the biggest thing that I recommend is going with Wally, W-A-L-L-Y, Wally. And it's a parking service that's basically full service. They can actually like service your vehicle while you're away. You pay them a daily fee for just the parking. I believe it's around $8 a day. Yeah, so basically, Wally, you pay a flat fee for just parking itself. It's just over $8 a day, and they let you park there. So for the 6-day trip that I'm about to make, I will be using Wally. I will be parking on one of their lots, which has full-time security. It's going to cost me $50 to park my car there for 6 days. It's not bad at all. But I mean, apart from parking, they have oil change, they have car detailing, they have pretty much everything you could want in a parking garage. So and it doesn't break the bank either.
Yeah, that's great. So for you as an Ocala resident, that's the route you take. So you were saying you typically fly out of Orlando because the flights are cheaper.
I typically fly out of Orlando, and it's like, if you're in the Orlando area, it might be best to have a friend drive you, because then you don't have to pay for anything. You just might buy your friend, some pizza or some beer, something like that. But Ocala, it's still not crazy expensive to get out of there and have a good parking space where you're going to come back to a car that isn't up on blocks. And it's worth it.
Yeah, and then the drive to Orlando from Ocala, you said it's about 90 minutes?
About 90 minutes, yes, 90 sir.
Minutes. Cool. So like living in Orlando versus Ocala, if you're going to be taking a lot of flights, you kind of have to kind of keep that in mind. Like, so for you, this is a 90-minute track, $8 a day about to park your car, and then versus like maybe Orlando, whatever an Uber would cost you to get to the actual airport.
Yeah, so it makes it more convenient for you. Convenience is everything.
Let's kind of go into the last kind of subject, which is like the biggest differences between these two unique, amazing places in Central Florida. What do you think is like some of the biggest differences? Population,
definitely. You're talking like 280,000 residents in Orlando versus like 60,000 in Ocala. You're talking about the pace of life. Orlando is a fast-paced city. There's no doubt about it, because we have all the theme parks, we have Disney, we have Universal Studios, there's Epcot, there's the other parts of Disney, Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom. It's very touristy. There's people constantly flocking there for short periods of time. The traffic is absolutely insane, and it's just very fast-paced. You come to Ocala, and it's like the sweet, quiet center of everything, and it's really what you make it, because if you want a little bit of noise in your life and a fast-paced place, you're never far from one. But if you're just wanting something that's kind of just mellow, kind of goes at its own pace, Ocala is where people come for that kind of thing. So that's the biggest difference. And then culture is different. Orlando's a big commercial city. Ocala's not.
Would you say, I guess like the culture of like Florida, the difference between the culture like of cities, like can you like almost like I guess feel it in the air, maybe like when you go from one city to the next?
Oh yeah, as soon as you get off the interstate, you realize that Ocala is a very southern. I know we all live in the South, but if you're in Orlando, you don't feel like you're in the South, because it's such a big city and it does have its own skyscrapers, and so it's like you feel like you're in a big city, somewhere in the north. You just feel it in the air. The difference in architecture, the difference in food choices, and then of course traffic on the street, the types of cars you see on the street. It's a big difference.
Okay, so Chris, what about the friendliness of people between both cities? And this is not this is absolute, but this is rather your personal experience. What has it been like between Ocala and Orlando?
My personal experience has been, I feel like friendly people can be found everywhere. I just feel like there's more of them here in Ocala. The pace of everything is slower, so you're not always getting in someone's way if you're driving, only the speed limit. The pace here is a little bit slower, so people tend to be a little bit more laxed and friendly as a result of it. There's less stress, so it's a good place if you're looking for a friendly environment. When I first moved to Ocala, I started getting settled in. The first thing that I noticed was, even though Marion County is a big county, it has a very small town feel to it. Makes you feel warm and welcome.
Okay. Yeah, compared to maybe the hustle and bustle maybe of Orlando.
Orlando's very commercial, very fast-paced, very touristy. So it's there's a lot of confusion at it's terrifying sometimes.
Okay, cool. if you guys do not agree with what we're saying, please drop a comment down below about your personal experience and what you guys think. If you visited either area, or if you're from Orlando, or if you're from Ocala, and we would love to hear all of you guys and what you have to say. So, yeah. I guess that's it. Chris, anything else?
All right, perfect. I think that's it, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right, let's.
What's up, guys? Chris the Ocala Realtor here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, check out the next one. And don't forget to subscribe.